I am super excited about this next video. It's a great feature that we've been wanting for a long time to be added to Photoshop, and that's the notion of smart filters. For those of you who've been using Photoshop for a while, you know about adjustment layers. And adjustment layers here at the bottom of the layers palette allow you to do non-destructive editing on image adjustment features, things like levels and curves and color balance and so forth. And what we've wanted for a very long time is that same type of concept for filters. So if I wanted to do a Gaussian blur or an unsharp mask or a motion blur to an image, but do it in a non-destructive manner so that I could go back and edit it after the fact and tweak it. Well, now you have that ability to do that in Photoshop CS3. If you want to follow along with this particular image, you can find the source file used in this tutorial in the details area of the video workshop. I'm going to get started by duplicating this existing layer so we don't ever touch the original. And that's Command-J or Control-J on Windows. It's called background copy. Let's go ahead and rename the smart filter. Enter to apply that. And in order to run a filter on a layer in a non-destructive way, we have to go to the filter menu, and there's a new command here called Convert for Smart Filters. And what that's going to do is wrap up this layer into a smart object, and now I can apply as many filters as I want on this smart object without destroying the container, the object that's contained in that smart object. Now, I don't know if you caught that, the fact that you can actually create multiple filters or apply multiple filters to an image. So let's begin by doing a motion blur. And that's going to give us a wide degree of change here. We'll do 100 pixels and just a flat angle of 0, and you can see I've got a big streak there. Click OK. Now, I want to do a second filter. We'll go Filter, Stylize, Find Edges. And now I have another filter applied to that. Now take a look at the layers palette and you'll see that each filter has been listed separately, which means you can actually change the stacking order of these and change the effect. So now that Find Edges is at the bottom, you get a different composite than if it had been at the top. Now the cool thing here is that you can double click on a filter listed here to edit it. If I double click on Motion Blur, I can change the distance or change the angle. You can make it 45 degrees here. And you'll see I get a much different looking composite. I'm going to go ahead and take that back to 0 and click OK. There's a second area that you can double click on, and this changes the blending options of the filter you've applied. So a layer can have its own opacity in its own blend mode, but now each filter applied as a smart filter on a layer can also have its own blending control. So I can lower the opacity of the motion blur if I want to get a composite between the two originals. Maybe take that to 65%. I can also change the blend mode. I'll leave it at normal for now and click OK. Now, to restrict this from happening to the entire part of the image, you'll see that a smart filter also has a layer mask thumbnail associated with it. So you can mask off the filter effects and reveal the original layer behind. I've already got an alpha channel built in this file. It's called Alpha 1. And I created that very quickly by going to the background layer. I'll turn the smart filter off. And I used my quick selection tool, another new tool in Photoshop CS3, to just very quickly select the subject matter here by dragging across my image. I'm going to go ahead and deselect that and just use the pre-baked one because it takes a few minutes to refine the edge. I'm going to load this alpha channel as a selection by holding down the Command key on Mac or Control key on Windows just to load that as a selection. And I'm going to go back to my layers palette, turn on our smart filter layer again, and target the layer mask here. And I'm just going to fill it with black. And the easiest way to do that is probably go to Edit, Fill, and just use the foreground color, which is black right now. We'll click OK. And now you see I've masked off those smart filters against the original background layer. I'm going to go ahead and deselect Command-D. And I can turn off each filter separately and turn them back on. And again, just changing the stacking order will slightly change how that effect gets rendered. And if I go back and double click on Motion Blur, I can change the angle again to 45 degrees. Again, just to show you they can get interesting composites. In summary, filters can now be applied non-destructively to images. You can stack up multiple filters and adjust their settings even after they've been applied to the image. Great new feature.